Okay, it's being live streamed.
Got it. There.
So that means I can do this real quick and look like I'm more professional. Welcome to SongNet, everybody. How's it going? I'm
Yeah.
Jimmy, and we're here with the mastering legend, Ron McMaster, or as I like to say, the guy that they named a special process after, mastering. Yeah. So Ron McMaster's been around for a real long time. He's mastered pretty much everything that's been a hit record on a Capitol Records, and he's one of the most amazing people that I've met. Even though I haven't had a chance to spend a lot of time with him, his reputation precedes him by a long shot, and we're really excited to have him here. And first off, I think we just want to go ahead and start off with a little bit of Ron. Why don't you go explain why mastering is an important thing, and then we'll go ahead and listen to some stuff, and we'll make some commentary along the way. How's that sound?
That sounds fine.
Okay.
I think mastering is of the utmost importance. I think there's a lot of people that don't realize how important that it really is, because it's a chance to get away from listening to the project, let's say in the room that you've recorded and mixed and everything, and then you bring it into another environment that has been tuned and everything, and it's all leveled out and ready to go. So I think it's important for you to hear the music in that room compared to maybe the environment you've been hearing it in, and see maybe if you're surprised, or maybe it's what you expect. It's just good to play it around. I think whether you even take it to a mastering room or another place at first, just to hear how it sounds. If I went over to your house and said, hey, let me play this on your unit and see how this comes off. Don't change anything. I just want to hear how it's going to sound. So that gives you a good idea of where your track sits as far as the mix goes and the levels and all the EQ that you've added maybe during or before you started. Did that help at all?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I've learned is that you want to make sure that whatever you do sounds good to everybody in every place.
That's right.
Mastering engineering, what's important with mastering is that you want it to sound as close as possible of what you're going to be hearing, not only on the radio but also nowadays streaming and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
That's real critical. One of the interesting things when I was doing a lot of recording back in the day was that we always had the mono button, and that was a real critical part of the mix, and a lot of people don't understand why. Well, back in the day, a lot of the stuff we did, we wanted to make sure that it sounded good on TV. And
Mm-hmm.
TVs back in those days were mono. They weren't stereo.
That's
So
right.
if you didn't check it in mono, sometimes things would change really weird. And in fact, there's one very large company that really screwed up, a company called Alesis, if you guys know who they are. Alesis used to make, in fact, they still do. They made audio processors and things, and they're famous for some reverbs. Well, one day I was doing a mix, and then I hit that mono button, and all the reverb went away. Turned out that some of the presets that they had designed into their box were out of phase.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and a lot of to this day, there's still people that don't realize that. So
And they didn't catch it, and it
yeah,
went
they
out
didn't
that way.
catch it. Yeah.
Oh.
Not only did they not catch it, they didn't seem to care because they never corrected it. So on all those little microverbs always have at least 2 or 3 settings that are completely dead if you go to mono.
Yeah. And that's the only thing I'm going to bring up right now after talking to you a little bit earlier, Dave, is that it's always good when after you finish mixing it, at least have somebody else's fresh ears on your mix, maybe in a different environment. That's why I always try to encourage people to master, and also maybe go to a different place than they've been hovered in for the last year, or however long it's been taking to work on this project. I think a fresh set of ears in a room that you trust, let's say somebody, or somebody's been recommended to you. People that I know, I've had clients that know my room, or they have friends that they they say you should go here and let him listen to it. And so I can tell you right away, because I know the room so well, what it's going to be, what it consists of. If you've got a low end problem, or maybe therein lack of you're thinking you have one thing, but you really don't. And it's just a good back and forth way to make sure that you're correct in everything that you're hearing at home or in your studio.
Yeah, in a mastering lab also, you're having reference speakers that quite often have much better and flatter frequency response, which is very important. One of the other things that I remember when I was in a mastering lab one time, I think it was John Golden's back in the day, and we were playing one of the things. What's that sound? So what? Says, it makes everything sound kind of muffled. We realized that there was a weird low end thing that was coming through that was so low that it was not being picked up by anybody's speakers except in the mastering lab. But because it was at a fairly high level, even though it wasn't being picked up, it was loading the speakers. And
Wow.
what that meant was that all the levels had to be raised up higher just to get over that weird low end sound. So as a result, when we took that thing out into the world and put it in their car or something, it was crazy loud. And it's like, what happened here? Something was wrong. But we didn't identify that until we went to a mastering lab and we heard it on, some calibrated speakers that went down that low. And, when those speakers got loaded, immediately John was saying, oh, well, here's your problem, man. So he fixed it right away. And ever since then, it was really good. There's a lot of little things,
Yeah, no, it's just real important, because that's when you catch things. Yeah.
Is it possible to ask Ron a question about mastering?
Sure. Absolutely.
I'm doing some collaborations with some international people, and they're talking about the improvements that have happened for online mastering. Can you talk to that, Ron?
About online mastering?
Yeah, well, you can actually upload your project, and it's an AI that does the mastering. That it's becoming much more refined.
I've heard about this. Unfortunately, I got out before this. I really even developed. It came to me.
Yeah,
I just never had a chance to do it. I was too busy, kind of doing other things and finishing up my stuff, and I never. That was just being talked about and everything like that. So unfortunately, I can't.
Okay,
I can't even go there with you, because I don't even want to talk to you and give you any wrong answers, or even what I might think about it.
Anyway,
yeah, I mean, it's I'm pretty old school on that kind of stuff. So I like to keep it real. I like to make, if I know the room and I know the engineer, I trust the room, I trust the speakers, then I can feel confident in what I'm telling you or giving you as a return project that's been mastered. But that would be something I'd have to hear how they would approach, like a before and after the AI.
Quick question for Gia. Are you talking about the Lander website?
Well, I know Lander. I don't know whether there's others. I'd have to get back to them. They, so they're sort of producing things, and they're trying to do it, like with volume and trying to get things out there. And this has become an alternative. Apparently the earlier days, they were not, as good as a human, but right now, because of AI, that learns everything, this new iteration of mastering that's coming out is apparently really pretty dang good. And it's
it is
much lower cost.
It's very good.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. Which
Okay.
is, this is all part of the discussion of all parts of music.
Well, I'd like to hear it. I mean, I haven't gone there, so I don't know. Like I said, I'd like to hear it. I'd like to hear the befores and afters, and give it a good test and a rundown in a room that I trust.
Yeah. Because they're even offering it. I haven't used it at all. I use Real People, but SoundCloud is even offering mastering now. I don't know how good they are, But, again, it just comes back to the topic that it's apparently improving.
Mm-hmm. It's yeah. Well, good. I'm glad it's improving. I just if I did something like that, I just want to make sure I test it on all different areas and that I've heard that song and make sure that I was getting back what I wanted. So
Just last
So-
comment, because the files that I was given by my producer that were mastered were sounding different on each channel that I listened to. I don't know whether that was his settings or just the fact that there's differences between, files that are distributed to one platform over another. And they just sound different when you call them up.
but they've been mastered and they sound different.
Yeah. Like on a Spotify, they sounded different compared to when I hosted on Disco, for example.
Same song.
Yeah, quite different. Like I could be in my car and call up the same song and it's on Spotify, and then I listen to it. It's hosted on Disco, and it's quite different. And I don't know whether that's.
And can I ask you what you mean by quite different? In other words, does it sound more compressed, or does it sound like a different EQ, or does it sound like
All of the above? It sounds like I'm kind of squashed. My vocal is kind of squashed in between some a lot of music and like instruments and maybe some sound design. And then when I go to disco, it opens up and I'm more forward. The vocal's more forward and precise.
Is Spotify compressing the files more than some of the other platforms?
Yeah,
maybe?
that's the only thing I can think of. I mean,
yeah.
they send out only one file. You send out only one file. So
yeah, because my aggregator,
then somebody
want
does something. Either the
1644.
file, well, maybe the file that was sent out was, everybody. This has always been an issue with me, but everybody likes to overload and put tons of volume on their songs, and that's not the, that's not the purpose. You want the song to sound good. You just don't want it to be hot all the time. So if for their protection, if somebody's put out music that's really just slamming, and then maybe one format is going to take it and compress it down to what they need it to be, and then another format is going to say, well, we can get away with a little bit more or something. It just depends. There's something wrong there, though. Somebody hasn't done something right. It should sound the same on all the units.
Well, Ron, let me ask you this. In all your years of mastering, did you have to pay any attention to how many LUFs the master was coming out at? Because from what I'm reading is Spotify takes whatever you give it and brings it down to -12 LUFs. And so if you have something that's really hot, then it's going to sound compressed. And I think, I don't know, somewhere -12 to -14 are what the streaming services are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We dealt with like a -14, -12. So, you know what? Everybody likes to they think level is so important. They overlook the sound of the music. And so it's been going on for ages. So this doesn't just deal now with digital and everything like that. So, because when I first started, producers would push you to make sure that record was hot, that 45 that they're putting out. That's all we had, no digital. Okay. So you're putting out this 45 and you want to grab the attention of the viewer. So they would have me sometimes raise the level of the intro of that song. Maybe it's like a 5, 6, 7 second intro. And they'd want to grab, it'd just be a hook or something they really want to pop. So I'd have to adjust maybe a dB or maybe a little bit more if I could squeeze it and get away with it, and then bring it down to normal level, how the rest of the track was going to be cut. Just to maybe bring out get their attention, get the ear on the music and let it go. So
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
I've got a question. It's probably a Mastering 101 question, but I just started recording about 4 years ago, and I don't engineer. I use some engineers here where I live that have been at it for about 25 years, and they're really good. And the production is kind of a collaboration between them and I, and sometimes the musicians as well, as far as how it's going to be produced. But what I was kind of told and taught through them was that mastering was really only necessary on a track if it was going to be put on an album. And the purpose there was to keep all the levels consistent, throughout the album itself. But then people always talk about mastering individual singles. And I've gotten a little bit of insight into that by some of the things you've talked about. But can you speak a little bit to that? And how do you take a final mix, go into a mastering room and master it so that it sounds the same on all devices and all platforms? Or is that even possible?
Well,
It's a
to get it,
multi-level question.
yeah, it's a multi-level question, and I'm not good at that, but I can tell you that it's important. First of all your songs should be mastered, and it's not just like just songs for an LP are going to be mastered, and we're just doing a single, so I don't need to mess around too much with that. Usually that song that's going to be a single is going to end up somewhere on the album anyway. So at some point it's going to have to be mastered, and at some point it's going to have to match the rest of the tracks. So most of the time I would always ask if somebody had I would find out right away, before you start the session. You got to ask a bunch of questions, and one of them is, where are you going with this? Is this going to be a single? Are you going to put this on an album? Is it going to be an EP? If let's say in your case, with your question, if it's going to be an album, then you ask, well, do you have the rest of the songs? Now, I didn't come across any negative answers on that. Most of the people had the songs, but in your case, sometimes you're saying maybe sometimes those other songs aren't finished yet, and that is very common as well. So people go in and maybe they bring you 5 songs, and they'll say, hey, we just need to master these 3 songs. A lot of times I'd have people that say, hey, that's all the money I have today. Can I just master these 3 songs? I go, are you sure? Yeah, how many more you got? You go 5 or 6. Let me hear them all, and then I could kind of see where it was going. And then I would have I know what kind of level I'm going to hand to you as a finished product, so it doesn't overload and it doesn't distort on other systems. And so therefore I'm making sure that first song is right, because when I add it later on to the rest of your 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 songs, it's going to blend in. Maybe I have to change the level only a half a dB or a dB, but for the most part, it's going to blend in with the rest of the tracks, in and out, and where you put it on the album. If it's maybe sometimes it's following a ballad, so you don't want to blow people out of the room, so you've got to kind of make sure that the process going from the ballad to the heavy metal rock or the strong song is comfortable for the listener. You always should keep the listener in mind, and that became even more challenging later in my career, because as you know, people just went on a playlist, and lists per se were like, as I began, when you'd see an album and they were already in sequence went out the window, and everybody just had 10 or 12 songs, and then they'd make their own sequence at home or put their own little album together. But I don't know. I think does that help you at all?
It does. It does. So is mastering an album or an EP different than mastering a single? Is the process different?
No, it's just that what's different is that the engineer, like say, such as myself, I that's the first thing I ask you as a client is, where is this song going? Is it going to be a single? Is it going to be a 12-inch 45? Is it going to be an album? I mean, I kind of want to know what you're going to do with this, where it's going, so I can kind of understand. And then in talking to the client, you're going back and forth, at least I always did, and make sure that you understand what they're doing. They might turn around to me and say, oh yeah, I got another 10 songs. And I'm going, oh, great. Okay, well then I kind of know where I'm going to put this. And this is maybe at this point in time, this is going to be our master. We're going to kind of go off this as a reference. And then when you bring me the other songs, we'll kind of play this one against those after we finish deciding what those sound, that those are good, and then see if everything kind of mixes and blends. And quite often it's good to just have that approach. So that's the way you know everything's going to kind of work together, especially sequence wise.
Okay.
The worst thing I ever, one of the things I had that just kind of blew me away was one time is I had these clients and they came in and we worked on these songs, and then they just turned around. Then I asked them for the sequence. I said, I knew it was going to be an album. And they said, oh, we don't know. What do you think? And I'm thinking, I thought, wait, you should already have that. You should know the sequence that you want these songs to be in. You're paying money to be in this room for me to do your stuff, and I want to make it sound as best I can. If you don't even know what order you want them in, then we have a problem here, and you're going to be wasting your money and time. And I won't put up with that. I just make sure that we'd stop then. They'd have their songs. They go home and figure out what order they want them in and bring it back, and then we do a proper sequence, because it's you can't do that lightly. Then if the customer or the client or the listener wants to take it in any other order, then that's fine. And I would always make sure that they sounded good in each format. Take the last song and compare it to the first song, and the third song to the sixth song, whatever. That way you kind of know in the back of your mind, everything's going to work. So if these people change their mind and they want a different order, here you go. It's going to be fine.
Okay.
And then sometimes you get songs that aren't really ready to master too. I've known Angeline for a while, and you mentioned Angeline in one of your interviews there. How did that go?
Oh, that was a trip. And it was fine. She's a character, and but I did her songs. That was another one where she would have couple 3 songs at a time. She would she'd go back in and do few songs, but that was also quite a long time ago, Jimmy. So I don't know whatever happened to those songs, but yeah, it was a real experience.
Well, from what I remember, because I did have that album for a while.
Oh,
and my gosh, some of those songs shouldn't have ever even been recorded. I think they were so bad.
Ron, I have a question. So from what you're saying, there is no standard. Is that correct? Or is there an attempt to be a standard and people just don't pay attention to it?
There should be a standard. No, I don't mean there to be not a standard. I think that if I'm interpreting you're right. By what I'm saying is
in the industry itself, it seems to me like, well, everybody should master. So there should be some set of standards that says this is like where we're going, the target, especially if you're going to go to radio or, these.
Well,
playlists.
I mean, I would think, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I would think that the client or the producer or whoever's in charge of the project should kind of know from the get-go where the project is going. In other words, is this an album? Is this a TV track? Is this going someplace? I just need to know where it's going so I can do the proper justice to the track. Some people have they'll say, oh, Ron, I only have one song. Oh, okay, great. So we work on that one song, and then I open up a folder and I find out there's 8 or 9 other versions of that song. They've got instrumental, they've got vocal only, they've got this, they got that. And so it's like, wait a minute, why don't you tell me you had other versions of that song so I could make sure that everything was kind of conducive to each other and work together. that's kind of what I mean by it. I just want everything to be able to, in my opinion, is to sound so there's some kind of unity on board, with the tracks.
Yeah, where I'm coming from is I have a scientific background, and there's this huge building in the Washington, D.C. area called NIST, N-I-S-T, the National Institute of Standards. And from what you're saying, this has not touched the music world.
What doesn't touch the music world?
The National Institutes of Standards. There's no apparently no standard for what the end product should be in terms of mastering.
Well, was that the question? What the end product should be?
Well, I guess my point is, because you're saying there's all these different situations where you have to adjust to each one, there's no universal standard as to where the end point is. You
Well,
just
the
kinda do
standard
it
would
per
be
project.
Oh, I didn't mean it that. I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't make myself clear. I meant by that if you have to, I'm thinking as an engineer, because you have to adjust each one so they have one, so they do have a standard, so they do all kind of sound like they fit together on that same record of that same time period.
Well, yes, but what I'm saying is from album to album with different artists, there's no standard.
No,
Okay.
no, not in that format.
Okay.
Sorry.
There are standards like the RIAA. That's
Well, that kind of standard. Yeah, I was thinking musical standard or.
right. But as far as EQ standards and stuff, you're right. They could be varied quite a bit. Like I was just mentioning, Angeline, she sounded very punk, and for punk, you want to have something that sounds entirely different from like a nice orchestral track or something. Because an orchestral track, you want it to have good stereo separation. You want it to sound big. You want it to have a certain kind of EQ. But for punk, you want it to sound tight and in your face. So yeah, naturally the EQs are going to be radically different. And then if you want to put that crazy song into like a movie or something, then that EQ has to be different again for that application, because you're dealing with broadcast, and you're going to have compression like he mentioned before, where you have that minus 14 thing where everything gets patted down and crunched. So there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed when you're mastering. And that's why it's important to let your mastering engineer know what you're doing with your track at any given time, or, again, get several different versions of that master track.
Yeah, like a TV track, or maybe it's going, movie or whatever it might be, It's challenging because sometimes it's hard. Some songs are mixed, either have the ingredients where you can pull it off and make it sound that way, or there's nothing there and you kind of have to kind of create it. So that's another issue.
Have you had to tell?
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I have a question for you, Ron, and I'm not sure if it exactly falls into your bailiwick, but there have been a lot of like remastering and remixes of some of the classic songs we know from back in the day, 60s and 70s. I guess the most famous example would be the Beatles, for instance. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that. I'll just say briefly that my initial reaction was, to me, some of the magic seemed to have been lost. It was very interesting to hear all the parts, but something about the melding of the music. I know they always recorded in mono and all that, but even beyond that, it just seemed that something was lost. Now, maybe I'm getting more used to it, but one thing which concerned me at first was the fact that there was a whole new generation that would never know the original songs that I knew and loved, the way they were done.
Yeah.
And then I have one friend who's involved in producing and mastering. His statement, I'd be curious to your comment, was that the music loses its center when you're doing all the separation, whatever they're doing. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
I agree with you. I mean, I'm always hesitant when I see it's been remastered, and I want to find out, who and where and what their sources were. Were they able to get back to the original tapes and do what was meant to be done? Or, sometimes that's not always the case, but it just depends on the project. But I'm with you. If I hear a song that's been remastered and redone, I have to compare it to the original, level wise, everything exactly, to make sure that, let's just see if they've improved this or not. Because I always go with the original version, unless the new one just explodes, and takes you away and makes you say, oh, hey, this is so much better. What was that guy thinking? 9 times out of 10, the classics that you're describing and that I'm talking about are the ones that they're trying to beat, and maybe improve upon. And I just, to me, you have to, it's like a cover song. You have to, you have to make it better, or don't do it at all,
Yeah. Thank you.
Maybe we should get to some listening, Steve.
Sure. Okay.
How many songs we got to listen to?
Probably close to 15 or something.
Whoa, that's a lot. Okay.
That's a lot. We have a lot. Yeah. So, first up, let's see. Let's bring up Catherine. This is a song called Radio.
So, Ron, you can just listen to like verse or chorus, whatever, and then wave your hands or something to let us know when you've heard enough. We're just going to keep it going.
Okay.
You can.
Uh-oh, Steve froze.
Bandwidth issues.
I don't know, maybe.
I like your cat in that hat back there.
Oh yeah. It's actually a series of shelves on the wall that the cats run on and sit in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It looks like it looks like a hat this way, you know what I mean? It's the way it's shaped.
It's actually like a curved shelf that's attached.
I can see it
to
now.
the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see it now, but yeah.
Hopefully
Like you
Steve will come
planted it.
back. Yeah.
Hey, while we're waiting for Steve to come back, can I ask Ron, you mastered a ton of stuff. Did you have a favorite signal path that you would go to all the time? That was your go-to?
Gosh, I really liked my Capital limiter that I used a lot. Sometimes it just added a night. It was tube and it was analog, and it just added a lot of warmth to the music, So a lot of times I would use that, sometimes just to get maybe a touch more level and just a little bit of warmth from the tubes. Otherwise, I had the Neve and my Sontag, and I would use those a lot of times all together, or maybe just individually on one song, depending on that. I took notes on everything, so I had, I had a double-sided console, an A and a B side, so they're exactly the same. So especially when you're cutting records, I could have song A set up here and start the track and start cutting, and then while that's going, go to the other side of the board, set up song 2, have that ready, and then fade down, crossover, be up, and now you're on song 2. So now I go over to 3 and
Okay. Can you hear me now? Let's see.
I can hear you.
My screen froze up for a while there. I don't know what happened.
Now I'm in a weird. No, this is strange.
Okay.
I have a little. It's a tower of people here.
Yeah. All right. So
I'm not going to touch anything.
We'll play this song then. Yeah, boy, where are we here? There we go. Can you hear that?
No.
Oh, you can't hear it?
No.
Oh. Hold on. Let's see. How about now?
There you go.
just an ordinary dusty day. You were rodeoing and I was with the kids, and your brother called and said you've been hurt real bad, hurt real bad. My heart was in my throat the whole day. Seemed like a century to get to you. And the doctor said I'm sorry, but his riding days are over, over. I love the rodeo and you, I always will. You don't have to prove anything, you're all I need. You're all I need. 'Cause you can be my cowboy, and I'll be your rodeo. And you can be my cowboy, and I'll be your rodeo. You sat around the house feeling sorry for yourself.
So, what did you want from me on that? Hello?
Any comments? Any comments you'd like to make?
Well, it sounds like a clean recording. It sounds like it needs mastering. To just analyze a song this fast, I'd have to try different EQs and everything like that out first. But I might put a little top air on it up very high and make the vocal open up a little bit more, so everything has more presence and clarity to it. Then I would just kind of try that and just see. Is it completely a solo song, solo artist? Is it just guitar vocal all the way through?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
She the producer said that, she got it mastered.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Well, it sounds fine. I mean, I didn't hear anything wrong with it. So, I'm just kind of trying to understand the question that was given to me. And if I took the song just from what I'm hearing over here on my desk from my speakers,
Mhm.
there's certainly nothing wrong with it. If I was just throwing that out as my opinion, like I might take it and just throw a little more air on it to open it up and give it a little more presence. But that doesn't mean anything as far as there's like, oh man, that bass is overloaded, or that there's a problem with your high end here, or your piano's distorting, or anything like that. There's none of those issues. So that's one of those tracks that, it, and again, you've got to play it on different units. I'm just going to be listening here on my desktop, it sounds pretty good, but I don't know for sure till I play it in other places.
Mhm.
I want to make sure that it works. Okay, if I take it in the other room, I take it to the studio or something, and I'm getting the same feedback, then I know I've got the right decision.
Okay.
And that's why it's good to all play it different places, But it doesn't sound, there are no problems with it, is what I could hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, mainly just want to make sure that it sounds good. It's kind of a thing that would be somewhat commercial.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I think so. There's nothing wrong with it. It sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for my misunderstanding. I'm kind of new to this.
No, that's fine. I mean, yeah, throw in your expertise, because that's what it's all about. Okay. Next up, let's see, we'll have Stephen Medeiros. This is called Carry My Soul. Let's see here.
carry me to the places you meant for me to be, and strengthen me in spaces my eyes weren't meant to see. My beating heart holds the hope that I need to believe. May these hands play guitar while I sing out of key. Lord, carry me as I grow, while you let me know you will safely shelter my soul, till the day my spirit lifts from this earthly gift. Lord, carry me, carry my soul. Sorry for the things that I've done, trying to ease the pain until I was numb. Thanks for battling to heal my tortured soul and giving me second chance to be whole. Lord, carry me as I grow, while you let me know you will safely shelter my soul, till the day my spirit lifts from this earthly gift. Lord, carry me, carry my soul.
Okay, so what's your question on that track?
So I'm going to have them remix this, and because I want them to try to work with that vocal. So
Yeah.
any recommendations you have on the mix itself, and more specifically, what you would do as an engineer to try to improve that vocal without me going back and re-recording it.
Well, I don't know. I think the vocal is the weakest part, the sound wise of the vocal, and it could be maybe brought up a little bit, but I think not without it's I think there needs to be a little more warmth on it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds a little bit mid-rangey to me, and it kind of has a little bit of a collision there with the guitar and that mid-range and that guitar. And when they come together, sometimes I need I would try to warm it up just a tad, the vocal, because I would take care of that clarity and maybe the high end that's coming off the guitar.
Okay. Would you pull any of those instruments back at all?
No, the kick drum sounds a little thuddy if that's what, but that might be what you want. It's not a punch, it's a soft poof. So
Yeah.
I don't know what you're looking for there.
I asked them to give me a contemporary Christian kind of sound.
Yeah.
I was looking for.
Yeah. I've done a lot of Christian music. It doesn't sound, there's nothing wrong, but otherwise, but I think that would help just to warm, if you warmed up that, the vocal a little bit, maybe.
Okay.
It
Would it
might
help to compress it a little bit? Because I don't think they put much compression on there.
Yeah. Yeah. It might, I think it probably will bring it out a little better.
Okay.
Give it a little more clarity, and that, and combined with just, I mean, I'm talking about just like maybe try a dB of this or try a dB of that. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just don't oversaturate it, or you don't want to drown out any of the other instruments and background.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Nice to meet you.
It's very nice meeting you. Good
Well,
question.
next up, we have Gia Love, and this song is called Gold.
tell me you like what you see. You can't meet my gaze, but I feel you're judging me. What is going on in your beautiful mind? Do you even see me, or is our love truly blind? Each of us seeking treasures we may never find. Open up your spirit, just look inside and you're gold. Try to understand where I am meant to be. The only one who knows how to get me there is me. I follow blindly even when I lead the way. I hang on every single word I refuse to say. Each of us seeking treasures we may never find. Open your spirit, just look inside and you're gold. I have a map that will lead me to the goal. If I trust myself completely, all my wonders will unfold. We tell ourselves 80,000 lies a day, tear ourselves down in so many unforgivable ways. Each of us seeking treasures we may never find. Open up your spirit, just look inside and you're gold. I see you now, I see how you shine. Gold in a goddess, divinity sublime. I see you shining, I see you shining gold. I see you now, I see how you shine. I see you shining gold. Each of us seeking treasures we may never find. Open up your spirit, just look inside, just look inside. Each of us seeking treasures we may never find. Open up your spirit, just look inside and you're gold.
Okay. It sounded good. It sounded like it needs a little work mastering wise. I didn't hear anything out of any problems or anything specific right at this moment, unless I played around with it. But it didn't. There was nothing obviously wrong with this rack. I would try to. It's kind of hard, actually, just before I tell you what I'm going to tell you, a lot of times when I'm doing this kind of thing and I'm listening to songs and evaluating them, I do it a lot more than just one pass or just a half a song or something like that. So I'm kind of not all set up for that kind of analyzation and response, other than I can give you just what I generally feel in hearing it for the first time on my home unit. I think it could, again, these kind of tracks that I've heard, and this one in particular, could benefit by some open clarity and a little more distinction on the guitar. And possibly that might help out that cross stick that's going on for tempo. And I think the vocal would pop a little better. Maybe a tad of limiting or compression on it, but nothing to squish it. Maybe just to bring it out a little bit. Does that help?
Yeah, it's not mastered. This is work in progress.
Oh, it's not. Oh, okay.
No. I mean, this was the last iteration before he had to jump out of town, but
I see.
Quick, yeah. So I wasn't quite sure what we were bringing and putting forward on this particular meeting, but
Oh, okay, great. No, well, that's good to know then. So So
Oh,
it
that's
hasn't been worked on, and then they can, whoever gets it can do those kind of things and kind of give it some clarity. And then if the rest of the album has that same feel and comfort zone, then you can apply that, not necessarily the same thing to each song, but that attitude or that that opinion to the other tracks and then play them back and forth and see if they work together good.
Yeah, because really the albums together, it's like, where does this belong? And that was the conversation earlier about, okay, is this a standalone song or is this going to be part of an EP? And, a couple of the other songs that could be in the EP are done by different producers. So it's bringing together so that there's sort of this continuity of the sound, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can have 10 songs and you can have 10 producers, but then mastering end of it is the product. That's where you have to make sure that they all blend together. The listener doesn't realize that. They just put the record on, or they play it on their file, or however you want to do it, but they can jump around, but it'll all have that same tonality and feel that they've heard from the first track to the third track to however you go. If you start going all over the place with the music, the people are going to get distracted and lose attention to the music. So I think if you keep it's always been, worked for me. If you keep it in that same comfort zone where that all the music kind of seems to fit in that same tonality, then it works pretty good.
Yeah, great, Ron. Thank you.
Sure, my pleasure. Hope I answered your
Okay.
question.
Yeah. Next up, we have Dan Marcus. This song is called "It's Hard to Say."
Okay.
Let's see.
Why do my arms reach for you? Why am I inclined to wanna stay? Why do I still adore you? It's hard to say. Why do I dream about you? Why do I dream even in the day? Why can't I live without you, baby? It's hard to say. In this world of wonders, this I know is true. Words cannot begin to express all of the wonder of you. Oh, I'll never let you doubt it. My love for you will never go astray. But don't ask me about it, baby. It's hard to say.
That sounds great. She's got a great voice. I really like that.
That's actually Marilee Weber, who was here tonight.
Oh, really?
Yes, she's right in one of the squares.
Ah,
Marilee.
that's awesome. Well,
She also is a co-writer on the song, I should add.
oh, well, that's even better. No, it's awesome. She hits you right away. It's great vocal and sounds good.
Do you have any thoughts about the vocal piano mix level wise?
Well, I don't. It sounded pretty smooth to me. I'd have to play with it a little bit, but off the top, it didn't sound like there was any conflict, and I liked where the vocal was placed compared to the piano. It's at the right spot. It's not,
Okay.
that nothing needs to be adjusted there. So that sounded really good.
Oh.
I think that's why you get the clarity out of her voice so well.
Yes, yeah, she's a great singer.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, so next up we'll have Kennedy York, and this is called Hallelujah.
Sometimes when I hear myself, see myself singing hallelujah, never really understood that stuff, comprehend the fuss for a holy loser. And your hallelujah, I know that it's time for a change, gotten too deranged behind the scenes here. Let's all bow our heads and pray for a sign today and give a hallelujah. In this holy palooza,
Okay, so what was your question on that one? Hello?
I think Kennedy dropped out, actually.
Oh.
He was here, and then I guess he dropped.
He put a message in the chat that he had an emergency at work and had to leave.
Oh.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. Yeah, sorry about that.
And that was whose song that was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But well, just make a quick comment on what you think about the song. You know, I noticed you listened to the whole thing and you were kind of getting into it. So
Well, I think the low end has to be controlled and maintained. It sounded a little bit thick and boomy on my end, but I don't, there's not in a bad way. That could be adjusted very easily. So I would just be cautious of the not adding any more to low end and maybe tightening up that bottom, the low end a lot, or not a lot, but somewhat, so you can make sure that on other on all speakers it doesn't get boomy, and it doesn't take away from the vocal, because it's just that vocal. And I think that will help it. I also think there's something in there that needs to help maybe break it up just a tad, make it a little more diverse, so it's not kind of as repetitive as it is. But that's just my opinion.
That's exactly what we need to hear. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Steve.
Yeah, next up we have Marilee Weber, whose voice you've already heard. Here we go again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see.
We must be stuck on amusement parks. We're always on a roller coaster ride, up and down on the merry-go-round. We never get it right. I believe in love, love that lasts forever, like the moon and stars. Let's stay together, playing games in the penny arcade. We're just one big surprise, cruising through the tunnel of love, with stars in our eyes. I believe in love, love that lasts forever, like the moon and stars. Let's stay together. You can find love riding on a Ferris wheel. You can find love in a bumper car. You can find love howling at the moon. You can find love right where you are. Yes, I believe in love, love that lasts forever, like the moon and stars. Let's stay together. I believe in love, love.
I mean, that sounds good. I would like to get to the vocal at the intro quicker, if it's at all musically possible. I think because I was getting a little bit waiting for the vocal to come in and wondering, and then when it came in, she got a great voice and everything sounded really good. I don't know if it's structurally possible to shorten the intro, but that's the first thing that hit me was, wow, I wish I could have started hearing this vocal quicker then.
Okay.
Then I heard it right then, because that would make the song pop a lot more.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I hope that helped. It's a good song. She got a good voice. It just, it surprised me because the song was kind of, it's not a real up song. So it was sort of just getting the tempo going. And I'm kind of wondering as a listener, what am I going to hear? And then she came in, I was like, wow, I wish I could have heard this maybe, a little bit sooner. So.
Thank you. That helps.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm getting it.
Okay, next up we have Roland Vega. This is called I Think I Love Her. Let's see.
She will never hold your hand or pretend to be in love. There just hasn't been a man that could fit her like a glove. Every time that she's around, my mind just can't be found. I think I love her. She will turn your thoughts around or just laugh at anything. Sometimes she doesn't make a sound. It's like she's living in a dream. Drinks her coffee with a spoon. That's the way she is. I think I love her. She belongs to no one in this world. Loves to dance when she's alone. Talks for hours on the phone. Makes you understand just who she is. I realize that she belongs to no one. She won't show it when she's sad. I can feel it in my soul. Every time I say goodbye, it's like she's fallen in a hole. But she's always got a smile that will melt my heart away. I think I love her. You don't play games, that's who you are. I'll never figure out. You bring out everything in me, and that I have no doubt. I wait to see your face again. I shake so hard inside. I think I love her. She belongs to no one in this world. Loves to dance when she's alone. Talks for hours on the phone. And makes you understand just who she is. I realize that she belongs to no one in this world. I think I love her. I think I love her. I know I love her.
I was going to ask if I could hear that beginning again. I could. The intro seemed a little bit long to me before it got the vocal.
Did you want me to play it again?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay.
Just
Oh,
the
wait a
intro, just the beginning, the first look.
I gotta go back to sharing again. Hold on. Oh,
Oh, keep going, keep going.
She will never hold your hand or pretend to.
Can you hear me?
yes.
I think that song could, mastering wise, I think you could start that in a mix yet at like right at 10, 11 seconds on that downbeat. Because it goes almost over 20 seconds before the vocal comes in. And it's sort of takes you away from the song. You're kind of waiting to what am I supposed to hear here as far as a new set of ears. And it's a very nice song with a nice vocal. And I would try to get it to the listener quicker. So right there at 10 seconds or right 10, 11 seconds, there's a good place to make an edit for a downbeat and have the song vocal come in and tighten it up a bit, get the people going and what you're wanting them to hear.
Thank you.
Does that help at all?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Oh, sure. Good. I just want to make sure it's, let me know, any of you folks, please, if I'm not making clear of what I'm saying or explaining or what I would do in this kind of thing,
No, it's great critique. It really is. I mean,
Oh, good.
I listen to all this, so.
Oh, okay, great. Well, excellent. Well, as long as I can be of help, it's fun to do,
All right. Next up, we have Dave Clausen. This is called When Good Goes Bad.
Thought you walked on water, 'cause you smiled at the skies. Until the clouds rolled in, I could see it in your eyes. You never really know which way the winds will blow. And all you have longed for, all you had, hold on with all your might. Cry your heart out through the night. When good goes bad, soon you started sinking. A tempest filled the night. Rain started pouring. The forecast called for spite. You never really know which way the winds will blow. And all you have longed for, all you had, hold on with all your might. Cry your heart out through the night. When good goes bad, every summer has its winter. There's no silver without dross. Every light casts a shadow. atonement bears a cross. You never really know which way the winds will blow, and all you have longed for, all you had, hold on with all your might. You cry your heart out through the night. When good goes bad, when good goes bad, when good goes bad, when good goes bad.
That's good. I like that. That's good.
Ah,
That's good. The intro came in good. You know, it wasn't I wasn't waiting a long time to hear the vocal start, and everything was right in tempo, and it sounded good to me. I mean, you know, I can't find any criticism there at all. Anything like out of place or something. That, you know, the drums were good and tight, and it helped pick it up, and the song moved good.
thank you, Ron. Like Dave Strauss, I'm doing everything myself at home, so I'm learning Logic. I'm trying to learn to mix.
Okay.
The drummer, I can't play the drums like that, so that's a Roland V drums that my buddy's playing and sent to me.
Okay.
But just as an FYI, that was AI mastering. Instead of me trying to master, I wanted to see what that was. So that was Isotope Ozone 10 Advanced. They chose the rock setting, and it did the mastering, and I just tweaked a few things to make it at -11 lux.
Oh, really? That's interesting. Thanks for telling me. Okay. No, I'm glad you brought that up.
So from a mastering point of view, how did you think Isotope Ozone did?
Well, that, you know, that would be, it's from a mastering point of view, there's still things I would want to, you know, if I could put that in a room and make changes to it, there was things I would want to try to work out and maybe enhance a little bit more, and, you know, and maybe, you know, now we're talking in a different zone versus kind of how that flows versus, okay, that kick drum sounded kind of weak, and maybe we could make that with some EQ and maybe a little different level limiter or something like that. Touch, punch a little more, give it a little more, you know, throughout the song. Give a little carry. It was a little light down at the bottom end. So it you know, musically it all kind of worked. It sounded very radio-ish, and so it works on that level. I don't know if you're going for an album or what, but I mean, because there was really a lot of low lows. It stayed kind of upper bottom end.
Yeah.
So and that's fine, but you know, I mean, I'm always up for trying different things. So maybe a touch of something down at the bottom could pump it a little bit more, and that might enhance a little part of the vocal or this and that. You know, a lot of it is trial and error. A lot of times you think of something, it might work, but then you go and approach it, and it doesn't happen. I mean, okay, it worked for what you wanted, but it took away from this. So now I'm going to take that out, make sure that doesn't happen again, and do this and that. So.
Okay. Well, that's good, because all I get from this drummer with the Roland V drums is a stereo audio file. So probably I need to hit that in the mix on that track, just boost the bass up some more.
Yeah, give it a little more like low end, bottom end drum sound, kind of, if you can.
Yeah, okay.
Like in a kick, like maybe around 50, 65, 70, 100 at the tops.
I will do that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks.
Oh, my problem. My pleasure. I mean, it's kind of weird figuring all this stuff out just by hearing it for only three minutes or less. So you guys have to kind of understand it. It's quick. This is quick mastering review. So I try to be accurate as much as I can be.
Okay, next up we'll have John Bernard. This is called Picnic.
Picnic on the Riviera, a quiet Paris night. The finer things in life aren't free, so treat this lady right. So pick me up at 9:15 and take me out to dine, to a place with a perfect view and my favorite wine. When I'm lonely, I get phony, but I don't care, 'cause the only thing that will cheer me up is a smiling billionaire. So don't be late, I hate to wait, I'm not that hard to find. And don't forget my favorite things, diamonds that sparkle and shine. When I'm lonely, I get phony, but I don't care, 'cause the only thing that would cheer me up is a smiling billionaire. So let's go out.
Did you want me to stop it? I'm sorry, you put a thumbs up.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't
no,
sure.
that sounded great. I mean,
Oh,
I
okay.
got it. I think the song, I could tell it was going to continue that,
Yeah.
that same pattern, and so yeah, I that was great. I mean, I think it was mixed, and it sounded great. The only thing I would want to do is maybe put a little bit more on the horns and see if I could get that to shine a little bit more, but it has a good feel, and came off good over here.
Hearing a lot of Mary Lee tonight.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
really.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's
Okay.
no,
next
it
up-
sounded good.
Yeah.
I liked
Any
it.
more? Any more on that one?
No, I it was just my first attempt at arranging horns, so I was wondering,
Oh,
tricky thing to do.
it sounded good.
Well, thanks.
I was just mentioning it. What I mentioned, but when I said that was just the EQ wise. I was just thinking I'd put a little more sparkle on it, so when they came out, it would just kind of pop a little bit more. I think it might complement the vocal and just the way it's arranged.
So that's good to know. I would certainly be worth taking back in to do that.
But the artist has a great vocal. Is got a great vocal going on it. So
Yeah.
you don't need to do anything of that. And on all the things that I'm hearing, and particularly on this one too, I'm making sure I'm listening for any kind of S's or any de-essing problems, as we
Right.
call them. And I'm not hearing, I haven't heard any yet tonight. So you guys are doing great and paying attention to that, because that's one of the mastering engineer's nightmares is, trying to solve that problem. And yet you're trying to solve a de-essing problem. And yet the rest of the track needs some high end or some EQ in that same range that's causing that problem. So you kind of have to work around it and figure out ways to satisfy both, you know.
How much trouble is it? No, this is recorded in a while, so forgive me for asking this, but how much trouble is it to take it off ADATs and put it into a modern day format to remix that song? Because that's all on ADATs, which is
okay.
unfortunate.
Well,
or should I just recut the whole thing differently in a different studio with?
no, I mean, I don't know if what I said really means that you have to go that far. I mean, it might be able to be solved in mastering on an EQ level, you know?
Yeah, no, it's just, okay, but to go back to the original tracks, would I have to go back to the original tracks or the 2-track mastering tape to fix that horn thing?
If you give the engineer the flat 2-track master, I assume that's what I'm just listening to.
Yeah.
Was a flat 2-track master, then that's what I would take and use through my board to make the final master.
Oh, great. Good to know.
Yeah. So you don't have to change anything. And then
good.
what I do is when I've got the EQ that I want to put on your song, let's say, I've got that over here, and then I've got your original. And I'll always go back and forth and make sure I know what I'm doing to the song. You know, it might be good, it might be bad, but I just want to make sure where I'm going with is that too much? Is that enough? And is it working in all parts? And if it does, then I can keep it, especially if the client's up for it. Maybe they don't like that, but that's a whole other issue. So no, you don't have to go back to the original. That can be easily solved EQ wise.
Oh, great. Good to know. Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, next up, we'll have Dave Strauss, and this is All I Wanted.
Okay. Hello, I popped out a little early only because that vocal was really low, and so you couldn't make out the lyrics very well on this end at all. So I would like to see that song taken back in and raise the vocal. The instrumentation wasn't bad. It just, I think, but the vocal was so low you could. I was reading the lyrics, but I couldn't make them out just by musically listening to them. So I think that's what I would do, and it just made them a little unclear, and the instrumentation also kind of covered the vocals. So I would think, in my opinion, I would say get those vocals bright, bring them up a little bit, maybe brighten them up a tad.
Point taken.
Okay.
And I, of course, brought you a song with a really long intro.
Oh, okay. You know what I like.
Yep. Well, I did that 18 years ago. So.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep, that's an oldie.
Cool. Huh. Well, does it surprise you what I said?
No, not really. You know, I got tons of stuff, many albums out, lots of different approaches to different songs. I think on that one, I kind of wanted the vocal to just sit in the track rather than dominating it. And that's why it was kind of low. But yeah, no, I see your point. And I've actually heard that same point made about a few of my songs.
Oh,
but
okay.
at the time, it was an artistic choice.
Sure, I mean, if you're telling me 18
exactly,
years, I mean, geez, I
Yeah.
I have stuff that's 18 years old, and I don't know if I'd even play it for you guys.
Right.
But you know, no, I get it. It's
yeah.
But you know, that was again, you know, first approach, especially after hearing the other tracks I've just heard today, you know, and what I'm used to hearing. That vocal
sure
definitely was back a little too far, you know.
Okay.
And here comes your cat again.
Oh yeah, they're on the move.
Okay, next up we have Ed Lackey. This is called Shadows in Your Mind.
What are your thoughts? How do you know? Careless whispers in your mind, running to and fro. Shadows in your mind are not what they seem, reinforcing the nightmare of your dreams. The shadows in your mind are not what they seem, reinforcing the nightmare of your dreams. The thought police are coming to steal your mind. Lock the doors, just a matter of time. The shadows in your mind are not what they seem, reinforcing the nightmare of your dreams. The police will replace your mind. Useless thoughts of a different kind. Just a thought to stir.
Is that your song,
Where's Ed?
Roland? Or who did that?
Ed Lackey. Let's see. There's Ed. Oh, he's on mute. Unmute yourself, Ed.
I don't hear
Ed,
it.
Ed, unmute yourself.
unmute yourself, Ed. Can you hear me? There you
Hi
go.
there.
Oh, hi. Hi.
Did you hear the comment, Ed?
No.
Oh, okay. No wonder. All right. Yeah. Go ahead, Ron. Sorry.
Well, I'm usually I wanted to hear. What did you have a question for me, or did you just want me to review the song, or?
Go ahead and review it.
Well, I thought it was okay. Are you asking me if there's any problems, or what I thought of the song in general, or?
Yeah.
Well, I thought the song was okay. It needed to be. It needs to have a little more variation going on within the song. I think that same part just kind of repeats throughout the start. Just keeps it sounds the same from the start till we push pause and stop here. There was no major changes or anything, so I would look for some more musical, maybe additions of something or somehow to, I'm not the arranger or anything. I just would say I'd want a little more variety and a little more introduction into some new instruments, possibly to help pick it up a little bit, because it sounds like the same track just looping, with the change of vocals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so next up is myself. This is called Crystal Studded Sky. And after this, we have one more. So the reason I chose this one is I noticed you work with the Beach Boys. So this is kind of close to that sort of vibe, if you will.
Oh, cool.
It's Friday afternoon, I can't get away too soon. Out on the road again, heading away. Driving a hurry now, I'm cruising with life a while. You're out there waiting for me today. I knew there's a crystal studded sky through my sunglass tinted eyes. A long, sharply defined line. I knew there's a crystal studded sky, and my spirit starts to ride along sharply defined line. Narrow and winding road, beaches and cliffs below, taking the corners fast, heading away. Top down salty spray, spring feelings come my way. Sunset of colors is ending the day. And ooh, there's a crystal studded sky through my sunglass tinted eyes. Along sharply defined lines. And ooh, there's a crystal studded sky, and my spirit starts to ride along sharply defined lines.
There go. Let it go. Keep
Okay.
play again.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know it was going to change that radically after.
Okay.
Stopped at the turn, looking for you. Walked in a dream, your face now in view. Are you the one whose eyes that I see? Crystals of blue, yeah, staring at me.
Okay, I get it now. I'm sorry, that just threw me because we almost went to 2 minutes with the song as in the other. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I went to stop, and all of a sudden it went into a completely different direction. So I went, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't know it was going to go there. I was expecting you to continue what I was hearing, and then probably be a good single, because it was already sounding like a single. So I was thinking that it was going to just do that and kind of fade, and then we'd do a fade and it'd be done. So that kind of changed it. I don't know if that really that verse really complemented the rest of the track. It just kind of took it in a whole different direction and brought it back. You might lose the listener in that kind of a dramatic of a move. I don't know. I'd have to hear it a few more times.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, mastering wise, was it, on par, reasonable?
Oh yeah, no, there was fine. The vocal was up, and the guitars and the drums, and it sounded, mastering wise, it was very balanced and smooth on my end.
Okay, good. No, that was mastered by Bernie Becker. I don't know if you know Bernie. Yeah, long time ago.
Oh, great! Wow.
But okay, so that's like I say, kind of a little different tone of some of the other ones you've heard tonight. So I play something a little more upbeat, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you did. I like a variety, and kind of hear what's going on in your guys' world.
Sure. Okay, the next one is this is the last one, Jimmy. See, I think I have everybody right. I didn't miss anybody, right?
Yeah, you got everybody. So Rich isn't here, so you can just make a quick commentary and that'll be fine.
Yeah. This is called Bonnie and Clyde.
Mad dog pump crazy in love in 33. Highway abusers and robberies. Bonnie and Clyde. Ford V8s were in their company cars. Trouble was, it took them way too far. Bonnie and Clyde. True love should last a long time too, but those photogenic tags help the coppers serve the blues. They were suitcase packing with some frisky 32s, 80 proof meds, and dosage of the Lincoln
know, Ford V8s were in their company cars. Trouble was, it could really only take them so far. Bonnie and Clyde, cold cash should last a long time too, but those newfangled sort of radar feds were in hot pursuit.
Well, I get it. It's a fun country song. Banjo sounds great. Did you have any comments, or would you want me to?
Yeah, Rich isn't here, so let me just make a comment on what you thought about it, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was an okay song. I don't think it was outstanding. I think when the other vocal comes in every once in a while, it sounds a little bit okay, but it probably could be improved. I don't know what level you're putting it at. So, but it sounded okay, and for that type of track with the banjo and that kind of country feel, I would just work with it a little bit and make it sound, kind of full, and maybe bring up the low end a little bit and make it help with the vocal. It didn't have anything in particularly, and there's nothing wrong with it. It just kind of, needed some help in certain areas, and maybe in the mixing of the solo or something of the banjo or something like that.
Yeah, mandolin and a little more, I think it's production stuff, not so much mastering stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. I think that's great, and we're pretty much right on time. So thank you very much. Once again, give it up for Ron McMaster.
All right.
Stuff. Thank
Ron,
you.
thank you for
Thanks,
coming
Ron.
out.
My pleasure, you guys. I'm glad I
Thank
could.
you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate
Great
it.
session.
Very
Yeah.
nice to meet all you folks, and I have to thank you, and thanks to Jimmy for inviting me. So I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. Well, hopefully you had fun with it and had a good time, and I'll eat
Yeah.
lunch.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll take you up on it.
All right. So we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thanks again, guys. And again, we have our showcase.
Thanks.
coming up.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you. It's very
Bye-bye.
nice to meet everybody.
Have a good night.
Keep up the
Bye-bye.
good work, you guys. Keep it
Thanks,
going.
Ron. Really appreciate you being here.
Okay, you
And,
got it.
That's it.
For all
Bye-bye.
in 2 weeks, we have our showcase. So we'll see you there.
Okay.
All right.
Good
Cool.
night.
All right. We'll see ya.